When it comes to paying athletes, there is a new game in town. It's called name, image, and likeness, also known as NIL. Some pretty big words. Our sports guru, Phillip Turner, will break it all down for you. What does it mean when athletes are getting cash? The Shelia Smoot Show starts right now. Welcome into the Shelia Smoot Show. Welcome in, welcome in. I am Shelia Smoot. Good to have you along on this beautiful, beautiful day, right? All days are beautiful if you wake up. That's right. All days are beautiful if you wake up. I just want to thank you for joining me. I am Shelia Smoot. I know you're like, golly, we're seeing this girl all over the place. Well, I never went away. You know, my claim to fame is the consumer swing I did for so many years in regard to the other stations I've worked for. I worked for all four stations in a weird way in the market. I'm in Alabama, Birmingham, and it's just been such a blessing to be able to do that. One of my pet peeves that I'm going to talk about this morning is, you know, your cities and counties and states and all of that. I am a stickler about trash on roadways. Trash, like, I'm a stickler about that because it's a twofold thing. Number one, we have these right-of-ways, and they're supposed to be clean. I was coming up one of the shores on the parkways. Any parkway, number one. Anything that says shore, number two. Anything that says boulevard, that's the first place you can start. Anything leading to a golf course, and we got some beautiful ones here, but anything leading to a golf course, a retail area, all of that should be clean. That's just like, but I got to blame some of you citizens because you're a bunch of people who litter. You throw everything out. And honestly, your taxpayer dollars, and those guys are going and those ladies are going back out to pick up that trash, you're responsible. You know what? You're going to be taxed to death on that because, you know, the rate of hiring somebody to pick up trash is a lot. And you're paying for that. So, look, stop throwing all your trash onto the roadways so other people can pick it up. That's number one. Number two, any city, any county, wherever you are listening to this show, listen. You all have a responsibility to have a regular maintenance of roadways and not just the shores, the parkways, the boulevards, not just the places leading to the nice fancy restaurants and golf courses and hotels. I was recently riding through the neighborhoods and it looked a hot mess inside of certain neighborhoods. I'm not going to pick on one city this morning, although I want to. You know who you are. You're pretty big. But what I'm saying is some of you residents are straight litter bugs. Like straight, like, bam, grab a bag of McDonald's. What's up? I'm going to throw it out my door. Why? Why are you doing that? What for? You are a litter bug. I know it sounds corny, doesn't it? But that is you. Stop it. All of you people throwing out bags of trash. Who does that? You do. But going back to the fact that all of you cities who've cut these maintenance budgets, I need you to go in these alleys. I need you to go into these cities. I need you to go into these neighborhoods because it's filthy. You know who you are. I don't want to call you out like that. I could call your name. I've been tracking you. And I'm giving you a warning that I know friends in the media that might have to do this segment on the trash in your city. Not the mainstream streets. I'm talking about the alleys and the neighborhoods. And you all are, it's just bad. But I want to say, thank God for the Adopt a Mile program. They get the kids out. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and all those in between, volunteers. I thank God for the Adopt a Mile program, because if you get somebody to adopt a mile, at least I know that mile is clean. But we all have a responsibility. You know, some things work from when you were in elementary, because life is a learned behavior. Life is a learned behavior. And I want you to learn not to be a litter bug. I learned that when Auntie Litter came on the scene. Like, Auntie Litter, remember her? Auntie Litter, and she was cool. She was kind of cool. But you learn that when you're in K through 6, K through 5, K through 4. Auntie Litter would show up in your classroom, right? And as cute as she was, I had a fear of Auntie Litter. Like, you know, I have an auntie I had, rest in peace, and her name was Aunt May, you know. But then there was an Aunt Bertha. Now, Aunt May was the softer side of, Sheila, don't do that. But Aunt Bertha, think about the name Bertha. It just rings in your soul. I would not want to run up against anybody named Bertha, because it's real. And I remember throwing some gum out of my mouth. And what are you talking about? I would have thought I had killed somebody. Child, come here. You don't get out there and pick that gum up. And I'm thinking, pick up this gum and it's sticky. My point exactly. It may stick to somebody's shoe or somebody's whatever. Don't litter. So you had those Auntie Litter pizzas. So my pet peeve of the day, folks, when you throw out trash, throw it in a proper place. If I catch one of you, I'm reporting you. Speaking of, let me go to my phone lines this morning. Good morning to Phillip Turner, the sports guru. What's up?
Good morning, Sheila. How's it going? Great to be with you.
I'm so happy, and I really appreciate you coming on to break this thing down, because I have a name, image, and likeness too, NIL. And NIL, name, image, and likeness in the sports world. Hey, Phillip, it's getting crazy out here.
It's getting very wild, but this is nothing new. It's wild. I mean, the fees and the money is getting extravagant. Some players are getting $3 and $4 million a year, and they don't even make the NFL. So this is a pretty big thing going on right now.
I'm not mad at them making that. In fact, I'm excited now. You know, when I see coaches driving, you know, beautiful trucks and cars on TV. I've been a proponent of NIL for a long time. Name, image, and likeness. First of all, for my audience, welcome into the Shelia Smoot Show. I'm Shelia Smoot. My guest, the sports guru, is going to break down NIL, name, image, and likeness. Athletes are able to make all kinds of money. First of all, on that, give me the background history, sports guru, on NIL.
Okay, well, originally it started back in 1992. An infamous question was raised on 60 Minutes by a person in your home state, the team of Michigan Fab Five, Jalen Rose.
That's right.
He said, well, why I can't even buy my own jersey at my own school because I don't have enough money to do this. So the schools got slick, and they continued to make the jerseys, but they didn't put the names on them anymore. So they thought they solved it with that. But as we all know, the big famous Ed O'Bannon case with EA Sports and the video games back in the day with the Sega and the Nintendo, they had all the different players in college and in pros, but in college they had the players UCLA basketball and football, and the names were on the back of the jerseys for the game for those games. But they stopped letting them do that as well. So he sued them, and this was like a 14-year case.
It was.
Finally, in 2014, they were decided that the that NCAA violated United States antitrust laws, which kept the players from being able to make money. But NIL didn't really start there. NIL really started June 2021. The Supreme Court ruled in the NCAA versus Austin that the NCAA was not legally allowed to limit any education, money-making adventures. For instance, I played music in college at Birmingham Southern. We hope we stay open. But I was allowed to, and they let me do
plug,
jobs.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I had to do that.
You had to do it.
We'll talk about Michigan State next time.
We will.
But anyway, they provided me jobs to play violin in certain areas, like country clubs. And I was a music minor. And this was kind of NIL because this was a part of the scholarship.
Right.
It gave me opportunity to make money. Also, it gave me opportunity to play for the chapel. And some of y'all might know I play piano. But I wasn't even a music major. So that's a kind of funny form of NIL. However, NIL is definitely needed here. So let me try and tell you what NIL is, the exact definition of NIL. And NIL is a collection of boosters who pool their money together for a certain university to create opportunities for athletes in any sport. Now, this is very necessary because sports are probably making $200, $300 billion just with the television contracts nowadays. Now, the first NIL that went into effect was the Gator Growl in Florida in 2021. It didn't look like it did them any good this year because Florida's still not good in basketball or football.
Oh,
They
you
were back
are
in the
shameless.
game.
What? We're dogging out our teams. Now the sports guru Phillip Turner will try to put in a plug. So bear with him on the effects of what we're talking about. But he is going to throw some team under the bus every time. Go ahead.
Well, we saw how they did. We saw how they did. Anyway, so like I mentioned, Florida was the first one. And now, Alabama and Auburn, I got to mention them because they're local. They're locally here.
Yeah.
So Alabama has two major NILs. One, of course, is called Yay Alabama. That's easy
Yay,
to
Alabama,
put together.
Oh,
Roll Crimson Tide.
Why? War Eagle. Go ahead.
and the second one, I'm going to get to War Eagle. I give equal time for equal schools. The second one from Alabama is called High Tide Traditions. So that makes sense, Crimson Tide.
Mm-hmm.
The big Auburn NIL is called On to Victory. I think that's in your fight song, Auburn Tigers.
On to Victory. Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a large NIL. They took in over $12 million last year.
Yeah, well, they did take in over $12 million. They can do better about dispersing it. That's another subject on another day. Mm-hmm.
And another show for some specific players that we
Rocket's
know
shaking
well.
his head. My photographer. He's shaking his head. That's another topic. But, hey, they need to do better. Go ahead.
They do. The largest NIL, as everybody knows, is Texas A&M.
Huge.
And it's called the 12th Man, the 12th Man Fund. And people who don't know what the 12th Man is, Texas A&M, they don't have cheerleaders. They have what they call Yale Boys. Mm-hmm. And they never had cheerleaders in the past. But the 12th Man are the fans, the Yale Boys, and all the people in the ROTC. And the reason why, you might say, why does Texas A&M have the most money? They have some of the most prominent alumni that they're oil engineers. They own oil companies.
Oh, what you talking
like
about?
Texaco and stuff.
Ain't
So
nothing but oil
that's
over
why
there.
they have the most.
Yeah, they got
and
some
Saban
big
was a
oil
little
boys.
upset. Big time.
Big
Saban was a
time.
little upset with that.
Yeah, well.
But he's getting it together.
Well,
but what I'm going to do now, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, what you going to do now?
No. I was just going to mention the players who have the highest NIL deals, some locally and some nationally. And then I'm going to kind of break it down to how it's being dispersed all over the country.
All right, welcome into the Shelia Smoot Show. I'm Shelia Smoot. I've got the sports guru, Phillip Turner, breaking down the NIL name and likeness. Go ahead. Who has that money? Who's bringing in that cash?
Okay, so your school, Auburn, they had the first major NIL deal with Bo Nix. You remember that was Milo's
I
team.
do remember that.
Now, surprisingly, he still has the deal, even though he's playing Oregon and playing well now.
I wonder if he's
He
drinking
still has
that. I wonder
deal.
if he's drinking that tea in Oregon. That's all I'm saying.
They need it because it's good. It's good. Anyway, shameless plug.
Shameless plug. I
Bryce
like
Young
Milo's.
got the first one. Got the first one locally here with Logan's.
Who was
Logan's
that?
there in Tuscaloosa. Bryce Young, Logan's.
In Tuscaloosa.
Right, Logan's Roadhouse. And then with that, he was able to get all his players and all his teammates to eat for free. I think they even had a dish named after him down there.
That's good.
I'm not either. And then Will Anderson had won the big defensive end for Alabama, who's probably going to be drafted number 1 now with that trade yesterday, with Crystal. And after he got it, several players in the Southeast Conference got it from Crystal.
I love
now, the
Crystal.
highest,
Crystal hamburgers.
I would do Crystal hamburgers, the little bitty burgers.
I love it.
They're great. They're great.
Money
now,
and
I would
food.
do a trivia question.
Yeah.
Great food. Now, I would do a trivia question, who has the highest NIL deal, but I think everybody knows who that is.
Bryce Young?
But, you know who it is. You got it. You won the award. $3.5 million last year. Not only was Logan's, BMW, but Fox Sports, Colin Cowherd has had Bryce Young on his show ever since he was a freshman. He didn't even play his first year. But Colin Cowherd saw Bryce Young play in 8th grade and continued to follow him. And people don't realize that's how recruiting starts. Jalen Hurts got to Alabama because Lane Kiffin saw him in the 7th grade. he had been recruiting him that long when he was at USC. So when he came to Alabama, he continued to recruit him. So it's all about relationships too. Money is important. Relationships are as well.
Relationships.
The number 2 person is Caleb Williams. He's a quarterback for USC, $3.2 million. And this third one's going to surprise you. Olivia Dunn. Do you know who that is?
I do not. I do not. I know she's in sports, right?
Right. She is a gymnast for LSU.
Oh, yes. I just saw her.
$7 million.
Man, that girl is flipping out that gym. What did she get? $7 million, the gymnast? And who was her collector? What was her deal? Who was her deal with?
She had a deal, Raising Cane's in Louisiana.
Oh,
They had those
that's some good food.
Fingers.
Oh, yeah. And I love Raising Cane's.
That was a major deal for her. And the last top 2 are C.J. Stroud, quarterback for Ohio State, $2.4 million, and Bijan Robinson, running back for Texas, $1.8 million. So you can tell these collectors are really getting large, and they're almost out of control. But that's necessary.
I think you're right. They're almost out of control. When that money comes into the collective, aren't they supposed to share it with the other players?
It's up to the discretion of the collective.
So now, they can give that whole 1.8 and that whole 2.3 to that one player because that person put it in the collective. Therefore, it's their money, all of it.
Right, but what wise teams and what smart teams do, like Alabama and Auburn, they make sure everybody gets something.
It's a split.
Because if you don't, like you mentioned before, before the show, they might decide not to block.
Why am I blocking for you if I'm not getting a piece of that cash?
Yeah, I'm getting us a watch. I want some money too.
Yeah.
So that's very important. And that used to happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing new because, in the past they used to give money to athletes in duffel bags and brown envelopes. Jay-Z
but that was illegal. Illegal. I worked in sports for 3 years at Michigan State University. And in fact, this is a footnote that even Nick Saban doesn't know. Nick Saban used to come in to Mr. Wilson's office. Charlie Wilson at Michigan State was one of the assistant ADs, and I remember Sam Sabori was the counselor. He'd come in every Friday to get this envelope, and in the envelope, I didn't know, I was a work study student, this envelope, no money, it was the ineligibility list of the players at Michigan State who couldn't play on Saturday. Now, I'm not saying that those players still played on Saturday, but I don't know who was. All I know is one day Sam gave me that and to give to Nick Saban. He wouldn't even remember me. I was on the Michigan State dance team, but that was my job for 3 years in athletics. And, I do remember some of the athletes used to come in, and I'm thinking, y'all got training table. You must be eating lobster and steak every day, whereas poor students are eating ramen noodles. And I do remember a very big star coming in, basketball at Michigan State, just kind of joking around, always taking people's pizza. One day he'd say, I'm just hungry. I'm like, you're hungry? Like, don't you get money? He said, look, we can't. We can't. But like you said, I also knew athletes all my life. Andre Rison, who I grew up around, just some major stars. I'm not going to tell you. Mark Ingram's dad went to school with me at Michigan State and his mother. But what I'm saying is it was real, and that's when I realized when they're sacrificing their bodies and their coaches are getting paid and all that. And, yeah, they had training table, and they had some of the best food. But honestly, during the summer, they couldn't work. There was a lot of things they couldn't do. And so that's that whole underground part that people don't want to talk about. So this makes it legal, the NIL, Phillip. But like you said it's been going on before, but it wasn't legal. That was my point.
Right, the $500 handshakes after the game, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. When they shake the alumni's hand, or come over here and cut my grass, and then you give them $1,000 not to really do anything.
Cutting grass is doing something.
But they don't really have to cut the grass. See what I'm saying? Just come over, wash the car, like throw some water on it, $2,000. But in a way, they deserve something because even at my small school, those kids did not have food. They had to go back there. The lunchroom was very gracious where I went to school. I already mentioned. I won't say it again. But they made sure those athletes. Made sure those athletes ate. And, it wasn't anything special or extra, but they made sure. And they were hungry, I guess, because they're big.
They're huge. They're hungry. Big. They're not like me, where a meal, one chicken finger works. They need 10.
Okay, right. They don't drink Starbucks like you. but in conclusion, scholarships are very important. It allowed me to go to school free of charge. But like Arsenio said on the Coming to America movie, athletes got to have some pocket change. They got to have something.
Got to have something.
They want to go on. They want to go on a date. They want to do something. Nothing is free now. Sometimes you might have a relationship with some of the places in the city that you go to school in, but they need some money. And once again, it's here to stay. I believe in the next couple of years it's going to be regulated. And one last thing. The federal government decided that the states get to decide how the NIL is distributed or done. So the state can put a cap on how much money that the school can raise and give out. But the schools that give the most money are going to be the champions, right?
Let me tell you, that's funny because the states have regulation. They can put up laws, and Alabama has laws in regard to this, and they're re-racking the law as we speak. But in regard to because this is where recruiting is going to get dicey. If the state of Texas says, hey, as much money as you can make, because Texas football, they want it. They want the best players. They want to win championships. They come up. They come out of the womb talking about a championship, okay?
Amen.
And Alabama's law says, well, we're going to cap it at X amount of dollars, and Texas says, we're not going to have a cap. What do you think is going to happen? Sports guru. What do you think is going to happen?
All the players are going to run to Texas and Texas A&M.
That's correct.
But Texas they have good coaches. They'll probably win. Texas A&M, they need some more coaches to win. You can have the material, but if you don't know how to use material, you're not going to win.
But they're going to run to SMU. I mean, they're going to run to every school in
Texas. You're right. They might run to SMU. Yeah, you're correct. Houston? Look at Houston now.
Look at Houston. Houston's jumping out the gym and basketball, and they're coming on in football, So that is what's going to happen. And let's not even forget about softball, gymnast, golf.
That's very big.
Tennis. Baseball.
South Carolina women basketball, they make more money. They have more NIL deals than the football team.
Yeah.
Don Staley.
Yeah. Don Staley. So let's not forget, but, honestly, student athletes who I'll never forget the kid who won that championship that year. And it was just like, the whole thing is, he said, Connecticut won a championship. He said, I can't even afford to pay attention. I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
Right.
I can't go on a date. I don't have any extra money. I can't go out here and work because I'm working in the weight room. I'm working on the basketball court. I'm working in the classroom. I don't even have a spare time. And I was feeling sorry for him. He got on national TV and spoke about that. I forgot his name. Yes, University of
Was
Connecticut.
it Elohim? Was it Richard Hamilton? Yeah. I mean, they've won 3 championships. I can't remember which one it was.
And it just floored me. And then up comes the commercial with the big truck in the background, and that commercial is, running. And that coach is got a $10 million deal a year, and then the residuals on the sponsorships. And something was wrong with that.
All coaches have those trucks.
Right.
Yeah.
They all have them. So there was something wrong with that picture. But I do agree with you on this as we continue, as we wrap up in a couple of minutes. I do want to agree with you on this. This is going to change because one thing these kids got to remember, you got to pay taxes on your money. You got to pay taxes on your money. Get you an accountant, guys, girls. Get you an accountant, a real certified public accountant, not your friend who wants to be treasurer of your money. Okay.
Not mama and them either. Not mama's aunt.
Mama and
them. Tax service that's been investigated 3 years in a row. Not them.
Not them unless they are in that space. And make sure you report. Yeah. And then they've got to report what they're getting. I've learned a lot over the years, and Attorney Bill Lawrence, shout out to him at Burr Foreman, is one of the premier attorneys in this space, in this state, in the city of Birmingham. He's in that sports law. He's working on a lot of that stuff. And he told me personally things are going to change. And then there is the NCAA rules. There's still that fine line with the NCAA rules. So, Guru, last question. Agents, NIL, is it all the same now?
Well, like you mentioned, the NCAA, they don't have the power that they have. But eventually the kids are going to have agents. They might say they're their father's friend or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they probably do have them now. But I would say, to answer your question, yeah, it's pretty much all the same. So we're going to have to watch that. And like you mentioned about the taxes, the IRS is not going to bother them now, but 5 years from now, if they don't make the pros, they're going to knock on their door. And we're getting all these 800 phone calls. Where are these coming from? So you're right. They need to watch it.
They do need to watch it. With that, the sports guru, Phillip Turner, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. The NIL, and I need an NIL.
We both need one. We're going to figure that out.
Yeah, and by the way,
can have one.
And my photographer, Rocker, he needs an NIL too. So,
Okay,
NILs for all.
about that.
Let the games begin. All right, Phillip, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
What kind of tax preparer do I need? Okay, folks, these are the type of tax preparers you need. Anyone can be a paid tax return preparer as long as they have an IRS preparer tax identification number, PTIN. However, tax return preparers have differing levels of skills, education, expertise, and you can learn about that. Go to irs.gov on that. Also, credentials and qualifications, how to choose a tax preparer wisely, or get some volunteer income tax assistance, which is VITA, VITA, and that's usually been a free program. Now, how can I check a tax preparer's credentials? Our directory, that's IRS directory of federal tax return preparers with credentials and select qualifications. So irs.gov, you can go in, hit that link, and you can help find preparers in your area who are currently holding their professional credentials recognized by the IRS. And you can also check the professional organizations many tax preparers do belong to. And last but not least, what if I have a complaint about a tax preparer? Okay, tax return preparer fraud is among the list of common tax scams. Be careful out there. There's some scammers going on around tax season. The IRS does provide tips on avoiding unscrupulous tax preparers and is committed to investigating paid tax return preparers who act improperly. So you have a mechanism to complain. Make a complaint if you have been financially impacted by tax return preparers, misconduct, or improper tax preparation practices. You have a recourse, you have a voice, and they are your advocate. IRS.gov. Go to IRS.gov. I am Shelia Smoot. Welcome into the Shelia Smoot Show. Don't be a sucker, be a consumer.